Hi and welcome to Studley Wood Golf Club, where today we are fitting two Golf Monthly readers for the new Cleveland 588 RTX 2 wedges. Now I've just had my fitting with Martin before they go, and it's quite an eye-opening experience. They've got a great centre here at Studley Wood, and it sort of allows them to look at not only sort of like shaft and grip like you would normally get with other manufacturers, but also they can look at your bounce angle, so how your ball sort of glides through the turf, and obviously your loft as well. I mean, loft is a massive part of wedges. You don't want to have massive gaps that sort of catch you out. You want to have nice tight gaps, so if you're looking down a fairway, you can sort of go for that back pin, go for that front pin, and get up and down when it really matters, sort of in a tight game. I just had my go, went really well. My gaps changed quite a bit, and I've now got some new bounces. I've got a higher bounce that will hopefully stop me digging into the turf and help me glide a bit more. I've been fit before, and I thought it was a really good experience. Our two readers, Brian and Phil, have never been fit, so let's see how they've got on.
Well, it's certainly an exhaustive process going through, changing shafts, changing lofts, got even as far as the bounce settings just being slightly different. It's really good to be able to see the stats that Martin produced on each change. The biggest change for me is the change of the bounce on the 56 from the normal bounce to the full bounce, which is what I use generally for bunker play. The shots I was hitting at the bunkers with the new bounce settings were really good. It was very easy to get the ball up and out, and they were all clustered together really nicely.
And we start the fittings off by basically looking at someone's gapping. So I have a look to see how his wedge is a gap between the set. So the first thing I did on our GC2 launch monitor was look to get his gap in between 8 to 12 yards on each wedge. From that process, once we had achieved that, we then went on to the bounce of the golf club. His divots were quite deep, so what we had to look at is some high bounce, and that completely changed his strike.
Martin's took me through a really interesting process. One of the main changes is I've moved to have a 54 wedge in the bag, which has closed the gap between my 50 degree and what was my sand wedge. Being quite a tall person, a lot of my clubs have been extended, and this went from a iron fitting, and all of the wedges that I've had made subsequently have been made to the same spec, whereas Martin identified that actually from my wedges was too long. The result of that was I was hitting it out of the heel quite often, and having made a small change, now go to an inch longer rather than an inch and a half longer, I'm puring about to the middle of the club.
Around the back of the green and out the bunkers, Phil's divots were very shallow. In fact, with his 58 round the green, there was no divot at all. It was like the grass had hardly even been touched. So therefore we went for a low bounce in the 58, just to help that club hit the ground a bit, and that completely changed Phil's short game.